Why Hyrox?
So far in the space, I think you have a few things kind of popping up and blowing up out of nowhere, and that would be like your ultras, ultra marathons. You have Hyrox kind of doing its thing. And then outside of that, obviously the marathon and the half marathons are always going to be there. But I think what attracted me to Hyrox in the first place was just the athletic side of it, because it's not just running. Obviously, you're going to have your strength events, and it's going to push you to a limit in an environment where people are all kind of live. The music is bumping. It kind of brings back that competitive spirit because you're racing really fast against other people, bumping into other people, and it's just fast and kind of chaotic. So I think that that's something that I chase, and I'm sure you could find that like in a marathon or in an Ironman, but it feels a little bit more involved with the stations, with the running, and trying to train for it it's not easy. Like you can't just do your easy runs, do your tempo runs, do your speed runs, and expect to be prepared when the time comes around to compete. Like you actually have to be very calculated with how you train, and from person to person, it's going to be different. One person may need to run more.
Mm-hmm.
One person may need to do more strength, lifting, whatever it may be, depending on their background. So it's super individualistic. It's tailored to what you want to get out of it, and you have to know your own strengths and weaknesses. So I think that's why I like it so much.
I will say, like, on that same topic where you say, like, I mean, obviously, like, marathons and, like, Ironmans and all that, like, that's fun, too. But when everybody is, like, it's all inside, obviously. They have some that are outside. But it is very, like, controlled, and it's very centralized. It's almost like the reason why it's like sports is because it's like, I mean, it's like a basketball arena almost. Like you have the crowd like around you, and then you like compete on the inside. That's what's so fun. It's not like a big course where like you're gone like 100 miles this way, and like there's like one or two people that are like there like cheering.
Damn, that's
you on.
actually a really good point. I never thought of it like that.
And that's why I think it's so cool. That's why it was so cool to compete. Like even myself, but
Yeah.
I know I got to kind of like peek into like what you like get out of it, and like how fun it may be for you guys.
Yeah. No, I think if you listen and you're into running and you're into endurance in any way, shape, or fashion, I would encourage you to do at least one.
Yeah.
I mean, you do ultras. You don't even train for Hyrox, and you and Taylor went out there and competed in a mixed doubles just for the fun of it, and I think both of you guys did have fun.
Yeah, it was super fun.
When you get in that environment for the first time, it's so live, dude, and people are in such a good mood. And also, if you've never done any type of training like that, it will be one of the harder things you do in your life.
Man.
Heart rate wise.
So hard. Yeah. You just look down and you're at like 195 and you're like, man, I don't even know how I'm still alive right now.
Yeah. The adrenaline's just pumping.
Yeah. It's still carrying along somehow.
Yeah.
No, it's funny, but it's just live. It's fun. And that's what it does, take you back to sports. And that's what I've told a couple people since that race specifically, since I got to experience it too, is like how close and like similar it is to like playing sports like back in high school, which is why I think it's so fun.
No doubt.
But more on, so like leading into the race, and this is more, I guess, day of for you or day before, like what mindset, where was the mindset at before the race? Was this like day before or day of, like when you think it set in?
We could go day before.
Yeah.
I think the spot I messed up most whenever we had our first Hyrox in Dallas was trying to control the things that were out of my control, and I talked about this on a previous podcast, but I went into this one completely different. I went into this one trusting the prep that I had put in previously, so trusting the 9 weeks before that and that everything was going to play out. And I went into the travel. So usually we travel, if Hyrox is on a Saturday, we'll travel on a Thursday. So we'll have the like Thursday night, all Friday, and then we usually compete at night in the pro division. So it's always way later. So you have like 2 days leading up into the race where a lot of factors are out of your control, whether that's how far you have to travel to the venue, how you get to the venue, what you're eating, and all of the above. And going into it this time, I knew that there were going to be times where I couldn't have food. I knew there were going to be times where there were just going to be things out of my control, and I went into it a lot more free. And the reason I did that is because I knew how hard I had worked in the prep, and I knew what I had put into it this time. So for me, it's just it's like trusting yourself almost. I think that would even play into anything you do in life, even if that's in your profession or work. I think whenever you've put enough time and work into something, I think that the result at that point doesn't feel as intimidating, or that like the outcome doesn't feel as intimidating because you know what you put into it.
Yeah.
It's like a sense of like pride and like being proud of yourself for knowing what you put in. So
It's like each session at that point, like training wise, is just like a stack of like confidence.
yeah, of course. So that's why I think I just went into it a lot more open. Was I still nervous and anxious? Absolutely. I think that there's no way around
Yeah,
that.
everyone is. I mean, if you have a goal set out, you're gonna be a little bit nervous.
Of course, but I definitely went into it a lot more free, just because I know that worrying about food or how your shakeout run went 2 hours, it doesn't like that. All of that is irrelevant at that point. The training block you put in is what matters.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I guess that kind of leads into then like you're physically ready.
Yeah.
But more on like the mentally side, and you kind of just talked about that too. But like mentally, like where were you at?
I think, especially for me, whenever we travel for these races, we're away from what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, it's the stores. So, the supplement stores that we run, there are 5 of them at this point. And there's just a lot going on with them in terms of what's happening with the company in terms of ownership. And then, I mean, you can even talk about what's happening in terms of the processes that we're working on the floor, what products we're bringing in. And then out of nowhere, you just leave that world, and then you're submersed into a completely different world, and you have to somehow try to block it out like it doesn't exist.
Disassociate.
Yeah, for like a short, but it's impossible.
Yeah.
Because obviously,
absolutely,
that kind of stuff travels with you everywhere, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Like, I love it and I enjoy it, but
how's that like? Like, just real quick, do you take your computer with you and like do work day before, day of, morning of?
Absolutely.
Calls?
That's why I think actually Jesse Itzler put me on this, and shout out Big Matt, but he bought me the big ass calendar, 2025. I don't even think I use it to its full capability, to be honest. I don't think that I could probably put a lot more on it, but what I've ended up using it for is our races and events that we have coming up. So what it does is when I'm in the office and I always look at the calendar at my apartment, and whenever I see that a race is a certain ways out, I kind of think in like week blocks and what needs to be done in order for that weekend to be seamless. So if we have, let's say, like a big like promo going on that weekend, or let's say that it's at the end of the month, and I know that's going to be a big transition period because P&Ls are going to have to be done the end of the month, and then we're going into probably ordering quite a bit of product when the next month begins, and then you have like inventory at all the stores. We're checking number. It's just the end of every month is always really busy. It's kind of like you're looking back, like how'd the month go, but you're preparing for how that month went, and you're forecasting for the next months of like, what do we need to do different? So if I know that we're traveling at the end of the month, I try to get ahead on a lot of that stuff. So it's like, we know we're traveling at the end of this month, and then I'm going to probably order a little bit heavier on these weeks, get more product to the stores. That way, whenever I am gone for that weekend, there's not a ton that the stores need, and then they can kind of run through some, you know what I mean? It's just,
they have a little bit extra. Yeah. And they can get by.
But that's how I try to look at it. But yeah, I always have my computer, and it'll be out if we're at the airport, and it'll be out at the end of the night wherever we're at. But during the day, I think I do a better job right now of trying to be in the moment. But
yeah, do you want to talk about like the energy at the venue, or is that like, I mean, I guess check in the first time you ever did Hyrox, you got to go the day before, and you kind of got to feel it then.
Yeah,
but we didn't go the day before this time, so that it would have had to have been right when you got there.
I will say the energy at the venue this time was completely different than it was the last time. In Dallas, there was a lot of people, don't get me wrong, But I think that Hyrox you can tell that it's really starting to hit its stride. It's kind of starting to become a stereotype, which sucks a little bit, because it gets like made fun of a ton, I would say. But it's legit, and it's hard, and it's hard to be good at, and it's hard to be competitive at.
100%.
And obviously you're going to have your people who just do it, just to have fun, and you'll have your people that do it to compete. And I think that it's good no matter what you're looking to get out of it, but it's popping off. Like we walked into the venue this time and you see, now like the sport has a culture. Like all of the girls are wearing the same thing. All of the guys are wearing the same thing. The music is super loud. Bass is crazy. People yelling, screaming. You have loved ones holding signs up for their people as they're running by. We have people running in sunglasses, crazy bright colors, people dying, people on their knees on the side of the course, people throwing up. You have insane athletes running 5-minute miles while pushing sled. It's just, there's so much going on, but you have to be in the venue to know. And if you go to the venue the day before, which I'm kind of against at this point, unless I have to, just because
they're doing both.
Yeah, because there's so much energy in the venue that I only want to experience that on race day. That way you're not just numb to it and you kind of desensitized to that. I want to feel that. Like when I go into the venue, I want to feel that for the first time. Like I want to feel like the bass of the music, and like I want to see people struggling, and I want to get in the warm-up area and start to vibe out.
We're about to get it.
Yeah, I don't want that feeling to just be kind of like dulled.
Yeah.
But that's the vibe of it if you've never been to one.
Oh, dude, it's so fun.
Yeah.
That's what I mean whenever I'm talking about like brings you back to sports. Which like I mean it's like a filled up basketball arena.
That's a great way to put it, dude. That was honestly a really good representation.
So fun.
Yeah.
So fun. All right, you told me this story the other night, and it was pretty crazy. You're talking about like in the shower, like what you thought about. Just kind of like run us through that. Was that the night before, or that was the morning of?
Yeah. This was the day of. That's what I thought. The morning of. This feels. I'm not even gonna lie. This feels really weird sharing this on a podcast.
Yeah. Well,
where other people listen.
Yeah.
But
it was crazy when you told me
rock
that
it.
night.
We'll rock it anyway. Before I say it, I do want to preface, I haven't, we grew up going to church, and we grew up, and it wasn't consistent, but we were kind of forced to go at certain times.
They call them like the Christmas, Easter, like.
Yeah. Like we were at all of those, obviously, the big holidays. And if I had to put a number on it, I'd say we went like once a month.
Yeah.
If that. So we're aware of how church goes and the way that it works, but we've never really made a huge dive into it, I would say. And then whenever I got into college, I would say I got away from religion altogether, really. And it's not that I didn't believe. I just, like, I was playing baseball. I didn't go to church at all. Like, I just wasn't a part. And then I would say in the last year or so, I've just tapped back into it a lot more, and it's more so just praying in times that I need it, and also praying in times that I don't, and saying thank you for the things that I do have, and trying to be a lot more present in my everyday life. And it's crazy to I don't even know if you can put it into words, but the more that you do that, the more that you give most of the things you do to something else other than your own identity, and putting your identity into Christ and not just yourself, I'm telling you, life starts to feel way different. And I know, keep in mind, I do want to preface this. I know nothing. I am not an avid, do I want to? Yes. But I'm just saying praying and being more present has alone made a huge difference in my life. But this was the day of the race. Keep in mind, we raced at 9. We ended up racing at 9:20 p.m.
It was late. Yeah.
Late. You have all day. I'm used to training early, and then in the afternoon around 5 or 6, and then sometimes 7 or 8, but never 9:20 starting to train.
Super late.
So you have all day to kind of sit and anticipate the race. And I went on a shakeout run with Billy earlier in the day around like 11. and came back and took a shower and just laid down to try to kind of let my mind be quiet before things got crazy. I wanted to save as much energy as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was standing in the shower, weirdest sensation I've ever had. I prayed before I got in the shower, and I told you I had forgot that I prayed. It was very simple. Like, it was just a prayer of, like, thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you for for allowing the training to go smoothly, and to even just give me the opportunity to do things like this, like to be able to compete, to be able to travel with people you love and care about. And it was just like a moment of gratitude. But then when I got in the shower, dude, I just started thinking about everything. I started thinking about everything that we've had to do in the company in the last few months, in terms of just like new people on the team, building a team, still trying to grow a store in a new market, and how hard that's been. Honestly, even being away from you, like, we're used to living next to each other, being away from you, going into a new phase in my relationship with Briley, and kind of starting to feel really like a team, and like we're building a legitimate life together, and we talk about a lot more big picture things. And it was this overwhelming feeling that we're in the very beginning of something really cool. Even if there's going to be a lot more downs and a lot more ups, whatever it may be, it's just the beginning of trying, I think. Even though it's already been 3 or 4 years of it, it just still feels like the beginning of trying and learning. And the weirdest feeling ever. I'm standing in the shower, and it was so still, and like, you get chills, right? It's one thing to get chills, but this was like overwhelming, dude. It was like a whole gust of freaking wind came by, and my like leg just went numb, dude, and then it went like all the way up my body, dude. And I'm not one to like dramatize something like this. All the way up my body, like everything's numb. And then it's numb to the point where, like, then my eyes start watering, and then, dude, I just started bawling hella hard. And I don't cry, really, and this isn't like a badge of honor either. I'm just not a crier. I'm very logic based.
I mean, that's kind of how we are.
Yeah, I don't really like, I feel emotion, but I'm not.
Yeah.
But in this moment, dude, it just freaking. But it was like the most satisfying feeling in the world, I would say, as well. I just felt super happy and super just blessed, dude, to even be able to do something like that. And I think knowing how much work went into it, and knowing everything that was happening in the company around that, and also training for this huge event at the same time, where I trained twice a day for like 80 days straight.
Yeah.
And just like, you're exhausted the majority of the time, to finally be there, and then to finally be relaxing and like in Florida. I don't know, man. It was just one of the weirdest revelations I've ever had in my entire life. And I've never felt gratitude like that. And then from then on, the day was super chill from then on. And then we ended up driving to the venue around 5 p.m., got there pretty early. We hung out at the venue, met some of the friends and people you meet in this space, which is another cool part of it. I've met a lot of really cool people that I had to keep in touch with on social at this point. And yeah, then we just hung out, and before you know it, time flies.
Yeah.
And then you're an hour out. And when you're an hour
Seems like
out,
that's how the whole prep goes.
yeah, everything. And then you're just there.
Yeah, you're like, we're in Miami.
Yeah, like,
I mean, that's kind of like, because I have that, like, not like to that extent, which, and I think it has something to do with like what you said anyway, with like your identity more in like Christ and stuff like that. But that like overwhelming feeling of like you're finally there, and like you're finally about to like put it out on the line, and like, you know what, like you had to like sacrifice to like get to that point with like work and like training and and I'll say, I mean, you're giving shout outs and shit, but I mean, shout out yourself.
What do you mean?
Like, you never 4 or 5 months out, you never you don't even have a day off, buddy.
No.
You don't miss any workouts.
Yeah.
Like, I did not miss one workout. I mean, there was like nights this past like month or two that you called me and you're still working at like 10 or 11, which is crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the point of it, though. It also doesn't, a lot of the time, it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like it's what's required.
That's why I said it's like, it's like the fun part. Because like you look at that and you're like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like that we're doing this.
Yeah, that doesn't take away, I would say, from the fact that like 80 to 90% of the time it doesn't feel like that, though.
No.
Yeah, and that's why you do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the emotions leading up to it, dude. And then from there, it was just the race.
Was this, and then you talked about like the prayer with Billy.
Yeah.
I didn't know when that was. I didn't know if that correlated with the story you had told me, or if this was like a different time.
Yeah, so Billy, damn, this is going to end up being a pretty religious podcast, and I don't even.
It's good.
I guess it is.
However it works. Yeah.
Never intended for that, but I guess it is what it is. Maybe it's because in races and things like this, it does feel very spiritual. I think that is why.
Yeah.
You've mentioned it in ultra running, how it feels very spiritual.
Very
euphoric.
Way more connected.
You're in touch with something. Like that's for sure. When you, I don't know. But it was I think 20, 30 minutes out from the race, or what we thought was. It ended up getting pushed back, but 20 to 30 minutes out from the race.
Pushed back whenever we were racing. We raced at like 2.
Yeah.
And they told us it was going to be backed up the rest of the day. So that's why we figured y'all were going to be later.
But we Billy asked, he was like, do you want to just do like a little prayer beforehand? And I was like, yeah, of course. So we went over to the ledge, and we were on the second floor, like looking over everything. And we just like bent over and we prayed. And I essentially gave the same prayer, just like a gratitude, just thank you for allowing us to be here. Even just the opportunity to do things like this. We pray for those that wish they could but can't. And we pray that like we trust the entire prep that went into this, and we pray that everything makes sense in the end. Really, that was the extent of it. And then we went and started warming up, and you have about 30 minutes to warm up. And the warm up is a really cool part, because you see a lot of people in the space that you see, whether that be on social or whatever, especially if you compete in the pro division. I saw a lot of like the Elite 15 guys, and
that's cool.
They're all really good dudes. And you warm up, and then you go through the little Red Bull tunnel, and they hold you in there for about 3 minutes before the race.
That's sweet.
And you just have to stand in there, and it's the most, you're just ready to go. You're like,
adrenaline starts pumping.
I'm so tired of waiting. Yeah. And then they count down, and then you're off.
Yeah, dude, that experience is something
nuts.
Different too.
Yeah. I will say one thing I've learned, and I think that I'll take this strategy with me in every race from here on out. Especially if you've done the right workouts in terms of like repeats on the track and the right metcons and training, about what pace you're going to have to hold to do what you want to do. You know when to push it on the run and when to not push it on the run.
Yeah.
And it never fails, no matter when, where or what division you compete in. You're going to start out and everyone's going to be flying. Everyone's just out the gate, dude. And every time I just have this, it's the weirdest thought. And I think this plays into the prayer. But it's so wild, and there's so much adrenaline pumping, and there's so many people yelling, but it's like very quiet. Very quiet. And the reason I say everyone takes off fast is because I don't even realize that until I watch the videos back after the race. Because in that moment, we know exactly what we need to do. So it's just quiet, and you're just executing, and people could be flying by you, but it doesn't matter. I know we have an hour ahead of us. I know exactly how I'm pacing this race. So what everyone else is doing is irrelevant to me right now.
There's not like a ton of thought that like you're like concentrating on, like, man, am I here? Like you're just like in the zone. Like
I know it's all off feel at that point. And that's also another weird thing in Hyrox, since you can't really trust your watch at that point, and you can't really see your pace. A lot of it's off feel.
That's what I was curious about. Like if you have a time goal in Hyrox, which is, this kind of switches it up.
Yeah.
But we can come back. Like how do you like know?
Pace it.
Yeah, because it got like, I know we're sitting over there since we're like filming and we're like, man, we got like this much time. They have this many stations left, this many runs. Like if they do it like this, and this, like they're gonna finish in like this time. Like how do you like?
Yeah, the
'Cause it
way
worked.
the way that we do it is I set up my watch face to have the lap time on top and the total time on the bottom. There's only 2 numbers. And every time we finish a lap and we go in the rock zone, I press lap so I can track how long each 1K is taking me. And I know off the top of my head around a 650 minute per mile pace is going to end up putting me at like a 4 minute ish 1K pace. And
So you only know like after the 1K if you were slower or faster than you needed to be.
yeah.
So then you know like the next one you're like, all right, we got to pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. And ours was fast. Like the first one, since it was like a lap and a half because you start in a weirder spot. We finished the first one in 3 minutes.
Oh,
like flat.
Yeah.
We flew. And that's always like, that's the strategy. It's just, you're going to go out pretty hot in the first one. I look at the ski as a way to catch my breath. I'm not trying to pick up 10 seconds on the ski.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll ski a 155, like a 155 to a 145 per 500 meter pace on the ski is way different for me. Like a 145, I'm gassed. 155, I'm fine. So I'll let 10 seconds go. Like it's like playing checkers or chess. There's strategy.
Give and take.
Yeah, so I'm going to let 10 seconds go there, but the run after the ski, pushing it. Because after the ski, that's when a lot of the people that went out way too fast are toasted. Like they're already almost redlined at that point. And that's whenever I just like to show that like, yeah,
you got it.
here we are. Now we're just starting.
That's cool. But back to the stillness thing, because I think some people could probably relate with this if they were into sports, because you said that and I kind of agreed. Like whenever I used to play sports and like, you're going out there to compete, whether it's like a football game or like a basketball game or whatever it may be, like you get up and like it's your time to like perform, especially as like a quarterback. Like when like the ball snaps, like you don't recognize like anyone, like nothing else. Like you don't hear anyone in the crowd. Like you don't see anyone in the crowd. Like it's just very like tunnel vision, like focus.
I think that feeling only comes with what your preparation looked like. I think whenever you prepare, if you only work on the things that you're good at, meaning let's say you, let's use football for an example and you're a quarterback. Let's say that your arm strength is your kind of best attribute, best quality. And all you're working on is throwing goes in practice and you're just throwing it deep every time because it feels good and it makes you feel like, yeah, I'm the man. But then you get in the game and you got to throw
a slant. You
got to throw a ton of slants and throw and a ton of outs, and you're throwing hitches because you have to play like a smaller game that game. And you fail to execute.
Like overthrowing them and like
that's whenever you hear the crowd. That's when everything feels choppy. That's when everything feels out of place.
Yeah.
Now, if you're already good at those things, but you worked on all the things that suck, that are hard for you in preparation, and for me in Hyrox, that was the lunges, that's the sled push or pull into the run, how hard that feels. Whenever you do those things a million times, then whenever you do it during the things you're good at, you're still good at, and then the things that sucked the other time, you got a little bit better, so it doesn't suck as bad. So everything is just on autopilot. Like you don't hear anybody.
True. Yeah.
I think it all comes into how you prepare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then like we're at the race time, right? What are like some key moments, like good and bad?
I would say really cool moment was after, I would say about halfway through the race. This was after the 4th station. Then you still have 4 more stations to go, obviously.
Which one's the 4th station? Burpee broad jumps?
Yeah, you go ski,
ski, push, pull,
burpee broad jump, and then row. Yeah. But yeah, so after the burpee broads, usually you're kind of fried at that point.
Dude, the burpee broad jumps are so hard.
Yeah, but I felt really strong. Like, we kept going back and forth, Billy asking me and me asking Billy, you good, that type of thing. And I was just, yeah, I'm great, I'm doing good. And being halfway through and feeling like that time, that was the moment I knew I was a completely different, if you want to say, Hyrox athlete
From the first.
than the first one.
Yeah, to your second.
That it was more of a, I would say less of a team accomplishment, and that one was just more personal. That one was a revelation of, damn, I actually put in some work and it feels good.
Yeah.
Low moment. Low moment, I would say, was after the lunges. This is the point of a Hyrox doubles, is you're supposed to be able to pick your teammate up when they need it, and you're supposed to be able to communicate in those moments. Billy picked me up a lot more in the first doubles that we did, and then in this one, he needed a little bit more help toward the lunges, and I finished out the lunges at the end. And this is kind of where the give and take goes. Like, then he started the wall balls in the very beginning and threw up 40 off the rip. So you kind of just even each other out. But finishing the lunges and then going into sprinting again, because it's our last 1K, even though I did a ton of lunges in training, that was a lot of lunges. And oh my God.
Y'all said it, and I thought the same thing. So I don't know if this is like a universal thing, but the lunges are very, very hard. I think that's the hardest. That's the hardest station.
I don't know, because obviously we come from a huge strength background.
Yeah.
And I'm sure other people feel the same, but whenever I do those, I get a huge pump in my quads.
It's the seventh station, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like you've already done like
all of them,
leg work, and like you've already ran.
Yeah.
Almost probably 5 miles at that point.
Yeah.
On your legs.
I think people underestimate too how much like leg work goes into rowing, because the row into the run is not easy.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I agree.
And then you lunge into the run, and it just. That was the point that I 100% redlined. My side, I don't really get the side stitch thing. Dude, I had it going full force. Yeah. And I was doing that ugly thing when you run and you're like,
dude, you've done that to me before.
I was literally
just like a training run.
Yeah, you can't breathe, so you're just doing the over and over. But then we got to the wall balls and it was all fine, but yeah, and then high point, obviously, again, was when you finish, and the goal was sub 1 hour, and you look up and see 58. And
what a feeling.
Yeah, it's kind of unreal.
Yeah.
And that's why we're setting the goal at the next one at 55 minutes. He said 50.
Crazy.
He said 57 minutes, but I'm going 55. We need something that legitimately scares the hell out of us and makes us feel like there's absolutely no way.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need. And I think 57 makes sense after that one, because we still know a few places we can knock off some time.
Yeah.
So I think that one, it has to be 55, because we'll have to push the runs in order to do that. And we've got a couple under our belt now to where we've got some reputable time. So I think that the next one you have to really go for it.
You didn't like answer this directly, but was there any point like where like you had any doubt during the race?
Yeah, actually.
Like sub 1 hour?
Yeah, no lie.
Where was it?
I could sit here and say, no, never had any doubt. I didn't leading up at all.
Yeah.
But I do remember one moment, and it was because after the fourth run was when I said I felt like, okay, we're halfway through and I feel great. It was a little bit before that. Mm-hmm. I think it was after the sled pull, so after the third one. This was a point whenever I think Billy went out too hard on the ski, and he was struggling at this point. So he was just communicating. This is what you do in pro doubles Hyrox, like or any doubles Hyrox for that matter. It's not that Billy was weak or anything. You just communicate with where you're at, and he communicated like, "Hey, you're gonna have to have me here a little bit more." And after doing the sled pull, it zapped me a little bit, so my legs were feeling it.
Oh yeah.
And I think when you're that early in the race and you hear that, that's whenever I was just like, okay. And there was a slight bit of doubt, I would say, for about 2 seconds. But then that was the moment I reminded myself again. I was like, no way. We flew all the way down here. I spent all this time training, all this money to be here. And I'm about to just, I was no fucking way. And then I just like tap my head for some reason. I don't know if that's crazy or not, but
Yeah.
whenever I just tap my head and it's like, all right, lock back in here, lock back in
This is
here.
almost like this is like a good piece of advice too. Like at this point, like when you're talking about it, I'm thinking about it too. I think where that comes from, like that doubt, and like Chad Wright says it really well, is like, whenever you're in these races and like it's early and like doubt always comes from like stepping out of like the moment that you're in and like thinking big picture. So like it comes whenever you feel like crap, or like not like crap, but like you feel like what it feels like to be like in the pain cave or something like that in a way. And then you think big picture and you're like, oh shoot, like are we going to get this?
I think it's more, I think you think about the outcome. I think that's when it happens.
Yeah.
You think it's the thought of failure.
Yeah.
That's what creeps into your mind, because whenever you announce a huge goal to, even if, let's say you don't even have a huge following, you just announce the goal in general. Maybe for you, that was a 24-hour ultra, or maybe for us, that was a sub 1 hour Hyrox. Whenever you announce the goal, you know in your brain that that's what you said. And whenever you're a man who holds your word close to you and you respect your word and you know that that's all you have, I think it's the fear of letting that go.
Yeah.
And it's really scary. And I think that's a great point, though. And because I think when you say you zoom out, you're saying you zoom out far enough to see the end, and you almost envision the end in a way that you don't like.
Well, I was trying to do it with the Hyrox event itself, but the way Chad Wright describes it is like you're at mile 20 of a 100-mile race, and you're like, you start thinking big picture, and you're like, holy crap, I have 80 miles left.
Yeah, you can't
How am I going to do that?
Yeah.
Instead of just being like what do I feel like right now, and like, can I get one more mile like right now? And like that's where I think it gets scary, is like you get done with the third station and like your legs are kind of zapped, and you're like, how am I going to do 6 more stations at this pace and get sub 1 hour when I feel like this right now?
Yeah.
When it should be more like,
yeah,
I got this next station, I got this one. So like
that feeling, no matter how much you prepare for it, I don't think that feeling is even replicatable in training. I really don't. Because that feeling comes on a lot stronger than you even realize. But I promise almost every time you always get through it. Always. Unless something is legitimately holding you back. You look down and your ankle's sideways.
Yeah, that's
unless you're David Goggins, you might keep going.
He'll probably keep going.
Yeah, probably keep going. But I'm telling you, you almost always get through that, and I think that ends up playing into your regular life as well. But
you already talked about like the feeling of announcing a large goal, like getting that sub 1 hour.
Yeah, I would encourage anybody to do that. Seriously. If you have a little bit of experience training with a race, and maybe you've gotten your first one under your belt and now you know about what you're capable of, I would urge anyone to pick something that's kind of in sight and to just announce it and make sure that it pushes you and you understand that it's going to require a version of you in training that you don't even know that exists. I would encourage anybody to do that. I'll be real. I thought sub 1 hour was out there. Like, I thought sub 1 hour was out there. We did 106. We're going to shave 6 minutes off. We're going to get 10% faster in 4 months. That's
impressive.
Yeah, you're like, no way, right?
Yeah.
And then you did 58. And then I start thinking, why not?
Yeah.
Why not 55? You know what I mean?
You almost need something, and not to say that like you're not going to hit your goal, but you almost need something that like you don't hit your goal, because
100%.
Because I mean, then you kind of think about like, damn, like the goal is sub hour. Like, what if our goal was already sub 57 and we went into that race and we did better than 58 because our goal was sub 57?
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
It's like I feel like the mind is what controls everything.
Yeah, that's what we'll shoot for. But if we don't get that, but I gave it everything I had.
That's a crazy goal. I like that.
Yeah, 55. It's nuts.
Fast.
Yeah, it's real fast.
Elite.
Even though the best in the world are doing it in 48s now,
No, well, that's the world record.
which is gross.
That's wild. That doesn't make any. That is just hard to comprehend.
Yeah.
48 is crazy.
You gotta stretch. You gotta stretch to the limits, dude. You got to.
What's the pride like at the finish line? Looking up, seeing that 58. You said it.
Yeah.
What's the feeling?
I would be lying here if I didn't just attack this in more of a transparent way. I don't really feel much in those moments. I'll be honest. I think the revelation is very cool. I'm very I tend to be very calm in those moments. I think because I knew I expected it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like, there's going to be people that hear that and they're going to say, oh, that's not a good thing. You should be able to enjoy your wins, that type of thing. And I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. It was just, that's what we were supposed to do.
Yeah, it's what I expected.
Yeah, that's what we were supposed to do. Don't get me wrong. Am I happy? Absolutely. But it's more of a, I would say a satisfying feeling. I don't know if I would classify it as happy. It was just more satisfied, I think. And then you just move the goalpost the next time because I enjoy the process of it. Not really. That moment is very cool, but that moment comes and goes, dude. I look at that moment as more of a just clarification for myself or for me and Billy as a team that we're moving in the right direction. And it's like, all right, let's keep running that play. You know what I mean? Calm, on to the next one.
Trying to think, like, why would you think, I guess, then, what, I have it down here, like, why achievement alone never fully satisfies?
I've thought about this a ton. For me, and I'm sure other people could say that that's not, like I said before, not a good thing, that it doesn't. But for me, I don't look at it as a good or a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's not good or bad. I think achievement, once again, it's just clarification.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes people need that. I think people do search for reassurance, and I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I think when you get that time, or if it's a milestone in your profession, or in your relationship, I think it's just reassurance. And I think sometimes that maybe that's why there's a calming, satisfying feeling with it, and it's not as much. It's like elation and happiness. It's more just, it's very stoic. It's reassuring knowing that you were doing the right things. And if you don't hit that goal, I don't think that it shouldn't be reassuring. I think that it should just be a reminder that the process is hard and that's part of it. And that's what makes winning feel that much better, when you can learn from a loss too. And I think that what I just said is the reason I don't think it's good or bad, because I know there will be times where you don't hit the goal. And I think you should feel the same way in that moment. You should still be proud of what you put out there as long as you gave it everything you have. If you didn't, then I think that's when shame comes into play.
Yeah. And like even like a goal like that, like, cuz you train for a while to hit the goal of sub 1 hour, but like even when you do hit the goal, like it's still almost a part of the process.
It is.
So like that's when I guess people talk about like enjoy the process. Like,
yeah,
that's still part of the process, because now we're shooting for 55. So
yeah,
like,
I think it's just you want to see what you're capable of.
mm-hmm.
That's it. It's the same thing as if you're running a long race. It's just like putting up little flags along the way.
Like that's one of the flags.
Yeah,
that's one
like
of the
for
wins.
you when you're running your ultra, it's what you just said. It's like, okay, it sucks right now, but can I get to the next aid station, or can I get to the next mile marker?
Yeah.
It's the same way in setting goals. It's just setting up, you know that you're trying to go way, way past that, but it's just like a little flag along the way, just to remind yourself like, oh yeah, I am heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. And I think that's why it's super.
That's why it's not super overwhelming, like whenever you hit the goal.
Yeah, because it's just a milestone, and you know that, and it's not good or bad. And sometimes you're going to end up at a flag that you didn't put in the ground. Someone maybe put that flag there for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, wow, I went in the wrong direction. I didn't kind of track the direction that I set out for myself in the beginning. I started walking down a path that someone else told me to go down, and maybe I need to turn back around and head that way again.
Yeah.
That's the part of it.
Do you think there is a point where like it is like an overwhelming feeling of like a win? Like what if you placed first in Worlds for doubles? Like what if you were the best doubles in the world?
People are gonna think that I'm lying when I say this.
Is there anywhere to go from there?
I still don't think I think I'd feel the exact same way. I have no way to speak on that because I don't know what that feels like. But I think if I felt as if I had fully tapped my own potential at that moment in time and happened to win in the process, it would make sense. I'd be, maybe a little bit happier.
Yeah.
If I still felt like there was more, though, it'd be the same exact feeling. It's just another flag. Like, what I do in relation to how other people perform has nothing to do with how I feel about the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this.
It's crazy how clear things become whenever, like, I think your brain worked the same way when you ran your first ultra.
I mean, you can go back to the video of me finishing the race. I wasn't, like, overly, like...
No, I'm saying, though, you became very clear in the days after that and how you thought and how you approached everything. There's just this, if you want to use with the young kid, the aura. Like, there really is an aura to it.
Yeah, there is.
Why do I feel old when I say that?
I gained aura points for sure.
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro. You can't say
We're not doing that here, no.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you want to bring up?
No, that's it. If you did make it this far, I say this on most of them, but I do truly mean it. And that's why Drew drives 3 hours to do this podcast every Sunday. And that's why we've continued to do the podcast through everything. And we've kept our promise to each other and to everybody else on it. If you have something that you want to achieve, I've had people reach out about 10Ks. I've had people reach out about starting running for the first time. And there's a lot of you. If that is you, I'm telling you, take the step, sign up for something, take yourself out of your comfort zone. Every single person that I have ever talked to that has done something like this is a completely different human. Completely different human. They talk different. They carry themselves different. They start moving different. So if you have something in mind, sign up for it. If you need someone to talk to throughout it and it sucks and whatever the hell, you can reach out to me. I answer calls all the time about it. So do something that scares you. Seriously.
Literally.
I really do mean that. And commit to it on a daily basis. I'm telling you, there's no feeling in the world like it. Time flies. Before you know it, you'll be through a full 4-month prep or a full 4-month build with your new company, with your whatever it may be, new relationship. Just commit to something daily and set out a goal. Go achieve it. Feel like a different human.
Yeah. I get taken back daily to times like where like it was supposed to be like super hard and like that feeling of like, man, dude, I'm here now. Like all of that was so worth it. It was so fun. It doesn't feel like fun in the moment, but
yeah. It's never too late to do it.
Yep.
But that's a wrap, I think, on the Hyrox Miami prep. Just kind of set the stage for the next one. Drew is running the last man standing for Bear Ranch. So we're going to run through all of that. It's a 4.2 mile loop that you run every hour on the hour until there's one more person left. There's a ton of big names in the race. Like I know Truett's going to be there. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, Truett Haynes.
To get to meet him.
Chad Wright's
going to be there.
Sally McRae will be there. I don't know if she's running it.
But like Lucy's running it. Lucy Davis is running it.
Lucy's running it, yeah.
So a lot of killers, to be honest.
People,
like it's going to be a huge competition. A lot of people battling it out there. And I think those races are really cool. You get to see the real personality of everyone always come out. And it's such a good time. But we'll set the scene, set the stage for that one. That one's about a month out. And that's going to be the next race. So that's a wrap on episode number 12.